The past few days has been filled with absolutely wild news regarding Square Enix and their layoffs, and I am not going to shed a tear for the activists that are now being kicked out of the industry. And while we've heard about chief publishing officers being let go and individuals that support activist organizations being let go, now we're finding out that a localization project manager has been affected, and this brings up a really good conversation about if their products are truly going to change going forward. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, we've all been questioning if Square Enix is truly cleaning house and if they're going to change, but just because they let go of a few individuals doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to be the case. But when you start seeing individuals like the chief publishing officer being fired, and that was an individual who was the direct voice from the Western to Japanese market, and you see localization project managers being affected by the layoffs, this right here is really what makes me feel like maybe we're going to see a change going forward, because if you combine that with the fact that several of their projects recently have underperformed, like their Final Fantasy titles, I really want this to be the case. I really want them to turn things around. I want to be hopeful. I don't upload on this channel because I hate video games. I don't talk about this industry because I want it to fail. I want them to do better. I want things to be amazing. And if tomorrow the industry was magically perfect, I would be the happiest person in the world. But unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. And therefore, I'm going to continue to be extremely vocal about the issues that I have, the issues that you guys have, and trying to spread as much information about companies that are really scummy as possible. And over the years, we have seen so many terrible instances of localization in video games and anime and manga, and now maybe this person being let go could be a good sign. So, Yusuke Haruguchi, the localization project manager in the Japanese branch, seems to be affected by the Square Enix layoffs. There are some really terrible localizers in this industry, and most of them are activists. They will take a perfectly good product, and then they will reword certain things, change meanings of characters, do complete rewrites, because they think, the audience we're trying to sell this to will definitely appreciate this because I would appreciate these changes, even though that's typically not the case. People want a product that is as close to the original creator's intentions as possible, not it being butchered by some activist. And wow, with all of the layoffs that we've seen being voiced online, it's really crazy to see just how many activists were at Square Enix. We knew that they were trying to capture a global audience's attention, and they were trying to sanitize their content for Western audiences, aka sensitive snowflakes on social media. We knew that they had an internal ethics department that was looking over developers' shoulders, telling them what they could and couldn't put in a game. But seeing how many of these people are truly part of organizations like Women in Gaming, trying to kick out white cis het men and try to make way for marginalized voices, it's absolutely wild. So this individual had stated they take into account overseas cultures and trends, and even consult with the development team to change the character appearances and game content. This is so infuriating because Japanese entertainment, whether it's video games and anime and manga, didn't become popular because it was marketed to a Western audience. It became popular because it was unique, it was refreshing, it was interesting, it was bold, and it was new. And when Japanese creatives now and these companies try to make it closer to Western entertainment, it all just becomes so much of the same old that we've been rejecting for years. I don't want this to happen. I want Japanese content to keep its identity. I want it to continue to be amazing. But it's very clear that the individuals that are running these companies don't want that to happen. They want it to be closer to what they believe audiences in different places across the world want it to be, which part of that could be the chief publishing officers that run Western branches. It could be because of localizers. It could be because of the wasps that are buzzing in their ear that really just want to see their company go under because they don't actually care about this industry. Who knows? It is clear, though, that they're not actually listening to their customers. He also stated the localization division, staff from different countries, including EU and USA, work together in the same office, creating an environment where many different languages are spoken every day. Is this really Japan? One major difference between the localization project manager and the development team's project manager is that they must communicate extensively in English and always view the game from the perspective of overseas users and markets. But the problem is that they're not actually listening to the kind of average of the overseas users' opinions. They're just listening to people that are thinking like very similar in mindset to them. They are only viewing it from the lens of a sensitive snowflake, and that absolutely sucks. And by the way, shout out to the reunion for over the past few days heavily covering the Square Enix situation. There's been so much news, so many different people reporting being laid off, so many pieces of information that have been released. It's been pretty hard to cover, but that's why I've been doing so many videos on it, because there's always an update. And I think it is important to call these people out and to highlight the fact that, yeah, there were a lot of these types of people working at Square Enix, because there are gamers out there who say, I love Square Enix still. They've made amazing products in the past, but they are a shell of the company that they once were. They are no longer making the amazing experiences they once were because they overhired these Westerners, and these Westerners are really under-delivering. Now, there are a lot of gamers who are saying that they're happy to see this happen, which I completely agree with, especially after we've seen so many great characters and storylines be butchered by them. Look at the censorship with Tifa and Aerith. Look at the censorship even with Cloud. For example, in Final Fantasy, we've seen just a lot of general storylines and themes be watered down. And of course, when it comes to localizers, you cannot trust them, whether they are at Square Enix or they're at Crunchyroll or they're at your favorite gaming company. You can't trust them by any means. Here are just a few examples of localizers running rampant over the past couple of years. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. English localizers rewrite Akira Toriyama's original manga script, insert Zoomer lingo into classic Vegeta vs. Kid Trunks dialogue. Western localizer proudly brags about butchering Sentai Filmworks' English localization of 2.5-dimensional seduction. English localizers furious over Japanese publishers' decision to use AI translations for light novels. English anime localizers claims that this subtitle controversy an example of why we need to educate Japanese companies on what good localization looks like, even though they wouldn't know what good localization looked like if it slapped them in the face. Here are some of the videos I've personally done. Woke localizer to ruin more games. Major Japanese game company hires this activist Katrina translator, and gamers vow boycotts. By the way, there's still no news on where this person is working. I've been keeping an eye on it. I haven't seen anything yet. Woke localizers wrecked studio forces them to fix their butchered work and shoot in order. Lovely complex rogue localizer admits Western companies don't care if they add ideological dialogue. Infamous localizer furious studios are using AI. Woke Western localizers forced pronouns into Harvest Moon. So we're talking about situation after situation after situation, and this is why so many of these people need to constantly be called out, because they are not respected respecting the source material, they are not respecting audiences, and Square Enix has actively hired these people and been okay with these people being in their ranks for years at this point. So maybe this is a good sign. Maybe they really are trimming the fat. Maybe they really are firing people who are ideologically captured, who are ruining their works. Maybe these are just a couple of people that got swept up in the layoffs, but there's still a lot of like-minded individuals at this company. We don't have a lot of details, but it is very curious to see just how many activists have been laid off over the past couple of days. All the other videos I've done on this topic will be linked down below since there's lots of information spread throughout all of them. But for now, that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this important and informative, make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.